Today we're going to look at the napkins that have just arrived from Ninny's Napkins, and also we're going to look at how I sort and store my napkins. I will also open out all these napkins so you can get a really good look at each one and see how pretty they are. Today I have another unboxing video. These napkins have just arrived from Ninny's Napkins, and if you have a look in the description below, there is a link to Ninny's website, to her shop, and there's a discount code there for those first time buyers who want to receive first 10% on their first order. The other thing is, at the end of this video, I am going to show you how I sort my napkins to make it easier to find what I want and to make it easier to reorder. If I've got them sorted into particular types of napkins according to how I use them, then I can actually go to that pile and think, all right, well, that's all I've got in that type at the moment, and I probably need a few more of them, whereas that type over there, there's a whole lot of them. So if I'm reordering, I'm not going to order that type of napkin. But it also helps me find quickly. If I want a napkin that's all background prints, I can go to this pile that's all background prints, and there they are, and I can go through and see what I have. And that helps me for reordering purposes too, because if I want these to go with this particular napkin over here and all the background prints don't match, I know what I can reorder. So have a look today and see what I've got from Ninny's. There's some really pretty ones in there for you to look at. Now, this little one is a little 5x5, and it says, I love you, I love you, I love you, all over. So that's a lovely little print, and it's got a little heart in the corner. Now this one, it's the same in each of the four corners. So it doesn't continue across there as a continuous one. That is the whole print repeated 4 times. This little one with the chickens and the eggs is lovely, and it's a cute little print, and it's not an all over print. It changes in the 4 corners too, because if you notice, okay, those two are looking in opposite directions for starters. Okay, so it's not a continuous all over pattern. This one could be a continuous all over pattern. It does, it's got a pattern repeat in it. So if you have a look at this, the pattern repeats higher up on that square and lower down on that square. So each square is not exactly the same. The print is in a different position in each of those squares. But this is a lovely one too. They make a nice background. Now this beautiful big dragonfly is lovely, and he's a repeat. All 4 corners are exactly the same. If you turn that around, still exactly the same. Now I quite like the colours and the size of the designs in this, and the names of these will be coming up on the screen for you if you're wanting to know what they are. But these are lovely big flowers. It's an all over, one big all over print. If you have a look at this one, all 4 corners are all 4 sections are the same, but it could also be an all over design. And I like these really big flowers. I could use them in a lot of different ways. This is lovely. The butterflies and the orchids is really nice. It is a 4-panel repeat. Okay, but you could cut these out individually also and use them that way. And you'll find that on Ninny's website you can always look at these opened out as well as pictured like that. They'll picture them opened out as well, so that you can see exactly the type of layout that you're getting. Now this is a repeat print also, 4-panel repeat, but it would also double as an all over design. and they are little dragonflies, which would go with that big dragonfly. I think the colours you would get away similar colours. See, that green is in there, so if you wanted to use this and that together, they would go well together in some sort of design. Now this one I particularly liked. It's a 4-panel repeat, but it's just such a pretty little picture that I could see that on the side of a canister for tea or coffee, and it'd be very nice. Or a set of, you know, sugar, tea, coffee. There's enough there in one to do that. Now this little rabbit is repeated 4 times, but you get a left and a right rabbit. So he's facing in 2 directions on one side and 2 directions on the other side. This design has lots of little animals in it, and it is a 4-panel repeat, but you could use these individually also in a scene if you wanted to add to a scene if you were making a scene. This little yellow blooms is very nice, and it is also another 4-panel repeat. You could use it as a continuous that way if you wanted to. If you wanted something a bit wider than that, say go to there, or go to there, or go the full width, you've got this continuous design happening. But each of the 4 panels are exactly the same. Now I like the colours in this one. This is very nice, and it's got dragonflies in it also. And some nice big blooms there. That could be a continuous design across there. And if you have a look at this side, it's slightly different. If you look where that blue one is there, you've got a multicoloured one on that side, and the blue one is further up. This side is actually a larger design than that side. It comes all the way past the halfway line. So if you've got a bigger section you want to put that on, that is perfect. If you've got a smaller section, that pattern only comes to just below the halfway line. So that's quite interesting. Now this little cute one is just 4 of the same scene, and I think they're all going in the same direction. Yes. So they're all heading in the same direction. Birds facing that way, that's going that way in all 4 scenes. Now this roses one, it's got a nice lemon background, little butterflies in it. And the other thing is it's a nice all over print. There's no repeat pattern in each of the 4 corners. Each of the 4 corners are slightly different. If you look at that, that is not the same as that one. This one is a little bit different in positioning. There's all of that rose there. There's only part of that rose down there. So it's not all exactly the same. But these could be nicely cut out and used also. They're a good size to do that. You wouldn't want them any smaller, but that size is relatively good to do that. Now the frog print is lovely. If you have a look, this one he's slightly looking up further, and this one he's looking down straight at you. So you've got 2 frogs there. He's fatter and he's skinnier. Now this is lovely, and it's an all over scene. I would use that napkin as a whole generally. I wouldn't cut it up any smaller than either that complete scene there or that complete scene there. But you've got that half repeated on the other side. Now this is an interesting one, and I'm thinking I might do another kaleidoscope with this one, but nice and bright stripes. See that? And you've got that dark section going through the middle, and it's repeated. So this is repeated on that side, and you've got that lovely, you could have it either way. But that I would class as an all over print. And now we're going to look at the different classifications I would give these napkins. Now these napkins here I would call large or an all over print that is large. So that one I could, and I can't cut it up into anything smaller. So that one is a continuous large all over print. This one, it's a continuous half pattern, or that section, and this one is a large all over print. And the types of things I would use that for are things like my calico bags, and you'll find that video on my website and a link in the description below on how I did these. But there's a large all over print from Ninny's, and the whole bag is just one complete napkin. And this other one I did is a half napkin, continuous print. It's also a calico bag, and we've done that continuous, the same as we could do that. Okay, so that gives you an idea of that type of category is the biggest category of napkin. And I'm looking purely at the way I use napkins. Now the next category is a large object that I can cut out. So in this video, which were the kittens in the grass, I used napkins that were a large design, and these ones I've shown you today all come into this category. So there's that, Prince Ferdinand, the rabbit and the berries, this lovely blossoms one, and the dragonfly one, all come into the category of that type of picture where I'm making the big thing on it the central theme, and I might do other things around the outside. This journal page also shows you a large continuous design, and also the next two categories I'm going to show you, which is a small design rather than the large one like the kittens there, and a background print. So they're the other two more categories I want to use. So there's our big print. The next one is our small print, and these are ones that I could cut out into smaller designs. So there's those wild forest animals and the butterflies and the orchids and butterflies, chickens in eggshells, these lovely blooms, and that one there that I could cut out into smaller designs. I also did a video with this terracotta pot, and this is exactly what I've done. I cut all those individually and positioned them where I wanted them on the pot, rather than tried to get the whole sheet to just fit the pot, and that was a much easier way to do that. So those go into that category of the smaller designs. Now then, the next category I'm looking at are background designs, or very, very small prints. So those, and those in that lot come into that category. As you saw, the background here on this journal page, it's a background print. It's not very big, it's not very striking. It doesn't detract from these or stand out more than the larger pictures on the page. So that's my background designs. Now my last category, and I've also done a video on this using up scraps, is this, just pieces smaller than that quarter. anything that's smaller than that quarter would go into a scrap bin. If I had a whole quarter of that left and some scraps, I would still put it in a bag with all its scraps and leave it in the background category. But once my paper becomes smaller than that quarter of the napkin, it goes into the scraps. And you can definitely make some really pretty items just using small scraps also, and there's a video on that you can check out. There's a link below for that one as well. So there's the 5 categories that I use, and I'll list them on the screen. But there's one more you could use. I don't do this a lot, so I haven't put these into that category. But the other category you could do is those where they match. Now remember, I had that dragonfly, and I found that this other dragonfly matched it nicely. Those two matched really nicely. And if you use that a lot, maybe in art journaling or other things, then I would create another category where I would put those two together so that they'd be much easier to find in another container. So there are your options for sorting your napkins, and it would make it very easy then to come back and find what you needed. Once I've sorted my napkins into piles according to what they are, I then put them into folders. So the front of this folder is the large pictures. Then I've got the smaller pictures. And lastly, I've put the mix and match. I decided I would make a category for that because I had 3 that went well together, 3 pairs, so I thought I'd keep them separate in there. And then in the other folder, I've put the large scenes and patterns that they take up at least 1/4 of the napkin, the whole scene. And some of them, if you open that out, takes up a full half of the napkin. And all of these are still available at Ninnys Napkins. And then in the back, I've got the background prints, or the very small prints. Okay, and then lastly but not least, I am adding my scraps to a container, and because it's such a nice large container, and this has a lid and it will stack on the shelves easily, I can easily look through and see what all the different napkins are that I've got in there. That one actually shouldn't be in there because I've still got a full quarter left, and that's a half, if you can see that. Look at that, beautiful. I just find that one and put it in with it so that the whole thing is all together still. If I need a bit more of something, I've got it. Okay, so that's the way I store my napkins so that they're easy to find according to the type of project I want to do. Now you might decide you'll store them according to themes. You might have animals or flowers or patterns or something like that, writing. It's up to you how you store them, but pick some categories and then sort them according to those categories, and you will find it's much easier to find them, to know what you've got, to find your mix and matches, etc., etc. check out the videos that are coming up on the screen now because they might be something you could be interested in, to see what I've done with Ninny's napkins.